Hello, holiday reading. Let's get right to it. Page 155. Chapter 23, Seven Fingers Candy Bar. We need to talk, I tell my dad, when Seven Fingers has gone. Can't wait till tomorrow, Moose. No. A darkness falls across my father's face. He slips his toothpick box into his pocket and motions with his head towards the door. How about we go for a walk? We could use a little fresh air. We tromp down the stairs to the dock and around the agave trail, which runs low along the water. The wind blows hard, as it often does late in the day. I feel like a giant hand pushing us back, but my father's determined. He's headed for a spot on the hillside, looking out across at San Francisco. We sit down at the rocks, looking at the hill, out of the hill. I look into his golden eyes. Dad, what if the Esther P. Marinoff School isn't as safe as we thought? What if I work at a stone with my heel, trying to loosen it from the dirt? What if Natalie isn't safe there? What do you mean? How? What if she's getting visitors? Visitors? For crying out loud, Moose. What are you driving at? I'm worried about the convict 105. 105? The gardener. He worked over there. Piper said he got released from Terminal Island a few weeks ago. Oh, yeah, Onion. Why in the Sam Hill are you worried about him, Moose? Because I'm about to tell him about how Seven Fingers said he knew where she slept on the island. Which is worse? I don't even know. Because, my father prompts. What if 105 visited Natalie at school? What on earth makes you think he'd do that? I had a dream, a nightmare. For Pete's sake, Moose, you had me going there for a minute. Could he find her? Why would he want to, son? She doesn't have any money. We don't have any money. They could kidnap her, I suppose, but it wouldn't be worth their while. She's safer there than she is almost anywhere. What about here, then? Moose, look at me. I'd never bring my family on this island if I thought there was any real danger. The cell house is sealed up tight as a drum. Try to stop worrying so much. Ollie thinks your nerves could be triggering the hives. I find a smooth rock and skip it into the bay. I don't trust Seven Fingers. Good. I don't want you to trust him. I don't want him in our apartment. I don't much like him there myself. I wish those city plumbers didn't cost so much. But you know what? Our plumbing problems never seem to get much better. It occurred to me that Seven Fingers likes his chocolate bars a little too much. Sometimes it feels like our life is made out of toothpicks, and if I pull one out, the whole thing will collapse, just like Dad's toothpicks. I like the way you think in all this, too. Sometimes life throws you a curveball. You can't accept what other people tell you. You have to reason it out for yourself. Once Natalie was little, a doctor told us that what she had was contagious. If we kept her at home with us, you could catch it, he told her. He said we should send her away to a ranch in Arizona where she'd be quarantined and not infect others. You were so healthy, everything I ever wanted in a son. I couldn't risk you getting this terrible thing she has. But I couldn't ship my daughter off like that, for no more, like she was no more than a cow or a piece of livestock. I tried to reason it out, but in my gut I knew the answer. I wasn't going to send Natalie off like that. If she were infectious, wouldn't you have caught it already? The next week we went to another doctor who said there's no evidence that her condition is contagious at all. None at all. You have a good head. I'm not worried about you, Moose. But Natalie, aren't you worried about her? Her life isn't going to go the expected way. Just because she doesn't see the world like you and me doesn't mean she isn't getting as much out of her days as we do. Who are we to say what life's supposed to be about, Moose? Who are we to say? Chapter 24. Page 159. A deal with the warden's daughter. Same day. Saturday, September 7th, 1935. First things first. I have to get my dad and Mr. Madaman off probation. Then if something happens, they won't automatically be fired. This means I need to talk to Piper. I still don't think she's the culprit, but everybody is pretty sure she is. I considered taking Jimmy to Piper's, but I decide against it. It'll be better if she doesn't feel like we're ganging up on her. There's another reason, too. It has to do with how her ears poke out of her hair and the softness of her skin like a brand new baseball, almost better. He's crushy on her. I'm on my way back up to the warden's house. When it's so windy, the wind practically pushes me backwards, making it twice as hard to walk uphill. My mom waves me down. She has her hat and her gloves on. We've been looking all over for you, Moose. Can you keep an eye on Natalie for a few hours? I got a call from a family in the city. They want me to interview this afternoon. 4 private lessons at full freight. That's good money. Now I was just headed to Piper's house. I need to get a move on. I have to give myself time to find the place. Could I take Natalie along? I look directly at my mom when I ask this, and I'm afraid of what she'll say. To the warden's house? She's been there before. Yeah, but with Mrs. Williams feeling so poorly, I don't think it's a good time. And you know, Daddy's still on probation, Moose. I'm itching to tell her exactly why I need to go up there. But I don't want her. I want her to know this isn't kid stuff. But I'm afraid she'll say it's Daddy's business, not mine. Mom, it's important. Why? What if Dad says this is okay? This is a gamble. Sometimes it makes my mom mad. Let's see what he has to say. She hurries on her high heels to the electric shop. So far, so good. I think she pokes her head in. Cam, I have a chance at 4 new private lessons, but I need to go in and interview now. What do you think about Moose taking Natalie up to the warden's house? My father's on a stepladder, pulling down a wooden soda pop crate where he keeps nails and screws and bolts. What business do you have up there? How long will it take? I have to talk to Piper. It won't take long. An hour, maybe. Keep a close eye on your sister? Of course. You can handle this, right, Moose? I can handle it, Dad. My father nods to my mother, but doesn't meet her eyes. We can't keep her locked up in the house all week, Helen. My mom's bottom lip puckers out. Sadie will read us the riot act if we don't let her go with the other kids. You know that as well as I do. My mother nods a small, unwilling okay to me, and she watches me and Nat walk up the switchback. I know she's worried about Natalie, like always, but there's something else in her eyes, too. She's worried about me, too. In the distance, the boarding whistle blows, and the sergeant hollers last call. I hear the clickety-click of her high heels as she runs down to the dock, clutching her music bag in one hand and keeping her hat and on her head with the other. Natalie walks along at her own pace, oblivious to the wind. She operates out of her own cocoon, which she takes with her wherever she goes. She doesn't follow me, lead me, or walk by my side, but seems to drift along like we're caught in the same gust of wind. I'll explain. We'll be visiting Piper. I'll tell her if she's good, I'll bake her a lemon cake. She appears to be ignoring me when I hear her say, no bake. I laugh. Natalie knows I can't cook. I once tried to bake her alphabet cookies, and they were so hard you could shoe horses with them. We get to the warden's mansion. I ring the bell several times. Willie One Arm opens the door with Molly on his shoulder. It's Moose, he calls out. Nat looks up from her shoes directly at the mouse. Mouse, she says. Let him in, I hear Buddy's voice in the background. Willie One Arm scoots out of the way. Buddy and Piper are playing checkers in the living room. From the number of glasses, empty plates, and crumpled napkins at the table, it looks like a marathon tournament. Piper is studying the board. So many wisps of hair have come free from her ponytail, there's not much back anymore. Right now, the island is being scrubbed and shined from one end to the other to prepare for a visit of the head of the FBI. Just this morning, I heard the warden chewing out Associate Warden Chudley because the white wall tires on the Black Maria weren't brand spanking clean, and there were dead plants in the flower beds. Why would the warden's own house be in such disarray? Willie One Arm walks back to his seat in the dining room table, where there's a long list of numbers in front of him. His hands are busy shining a pair of shoes, probably the warden's, while his eyes scan the list of numbers. Mouse, Natalie says. Molly, Willie One Arm mumbles. Nat's eyes are glued to Molly, who sits on his shoulder like she's supervising his work. I position myself between the two rooms so I can see Natalie and Piper. I know Piper sees me, but she ignores me. Can we talk? I ask her as the sound of a bell tinkles in the kitchen. Buddy Boy shoves his feet in his shoes. He fishes his tie out of his shirt pocket. I toss it over his head, shimmying the knot between his Adam's apple as he heads for the kitchen. Go away, says Piper. Really, Piper, we have to talk. No, we don't, she says. I walk over and sit down on a nearby chair and scoot it over so I can still see Natalie. She and the mouse are transfixed as if they've discovered something in common. Piper pushes the hair out of her face. Her foot fidgets. She glances up in the direction of the bell. Come on, Piper, please, this is important. I tell her as Natalie reaches her hand out to Molly, who scampers out onto her palm. Willie Warnarm looks up from his page. His hand hovers over the mouse as if he's ready for her back, but Natalie has her face right up close to Molly, whispering to her. Give the mouse to Willie, I tell Natalie. Her name is Molly, Natalie says. Give Molly back. Piper continues to study the checkered board. Can we please talk outside? What do you want to talk about? It's private. I'm busy, she says. When will you be free? I ask as Buddy Boy comes back from the kitchen. Is Mommy okay? Piper asks. She is. Don't you worry, Piper, my girl. She's just fine. Piper seems to take this in. It perks her up. I try to catch her eye, but she ignores me. She's clearly not in any mood to talk today. And it feels creepy in this house. I want to be out of here. Let's go, Natalie. Give Molly back, I tell her. Natalie is petting the mouse with one finger across her head and down. Natalie, please. But every fiber of Natalie is being focused on petting Molly. I'm not sure how Matt's going to take this. Once she smacked a guy who messed with her buttons. Punched him right in the nose. The guy wasn't hurt, but my mother was mortified. She gave the man $20 on the spot and begged him not to press charges. Come on, Natalie, I plead. We can see Molly tomorrow. Tomorrow. We can see Molly tomorrow, Natalie says. That's right, Nat. And then as if a circuit switch flips inside of Natalie's brain, her face relaxes. Her shoulders ease down to where they're supposed to be. She goes after me. I open the front door and we troop out. But before I get the door closed, Piper slips outside to talk to us. I thought you wanted to talk, she said innocently. I do, I tell her, and I sit on the steps. Piper leans against the house and Natalie rocks on one foot. I don't know how to say this, but did you have anything to do with getting my dad and Mr. Madiman on probation? Who wants to know? I want to know, Piper. Maybe. Maybe either you did or you didn't, Piper. I wait for her to answer, but she watches in a distance. I told everyone you wouldn't lie like that, I tell her, my voice full. But it's useless. Piper always lies to get her way. Everyone lets her, too. If my mom and Mrs. Madiman thought Piper was responsible for getting my dad and Mr. Madiman put her on probation for no reason, why didn't they call her on it? Because she's the warden's daughter. That's why. You were wrong. Teresa deserved it, and so did you. You didn't stand up for me. You're just worried about making Teresa mad. Nobody can ever be mad at poor little Moosey. You have to make sure everybody loves you every stupid minute. I think she's talking about the Rocky incident, when he got to go take Rocky up the hill and met Al Capone. And remember, Teresa pushed Piper out of the way. I don't like to collect enemies the way you do, if that's what you mean, said Moose. Oh, who cares anyway? This is boring. It's boring. You get my dad and Mr. Madiman on probation for nothing, and then you say it's boring? So what do you want me to do with it? Tell the truth, Piper. Why would I do that? Because it's the right thing to do. You actually think that matters to me? I've never met anyone as irritating as Piper. She makes me feel like I've got gunpowder exploding in my veins. I'll tell you what, she suggests. I'll get this square away, but then you'll owe me. You mean you'll tell your dad the truth? Of course not. I'll tell him that I thought it was booze. I'll tell him that I thought it was booze they were drinking. It was clear and gold like beer, but it was only apple juice. How will he explain not telling him this before? I felt so awful about what happened. She makes her voice tremble. I couldn't bring myself to tell you. She dabs at her eyes. She's doing her little act. What a performance. How can I like a girl like this? But even now, watching her lips, the curve of her arms, the shine of her hair. Messy as she is today, she's still beautiful. Like I said, she continues, you'll owe me, Moose. I'll owe you what? I haven't decided yet. She takes a step closer, leans down so she's right in my face. Remember, he's sitting down, she's leaning over. I breathe in the sweet talcum smell of her lips, brush my cheek, and everything hits a pothole. Piper, can I ask you something? I whisper to her close. Couldn't you just be a little nicer? Now, she strokes my cheek ever so gently. The sweet, powerful smell of her comes over me like hot sweat. No, I tell her as I reach my hand to hold her chin. All the rest of the time. I whisper as my lips find her lips. I don't know if this is the way you're supposed to do this, but suddenly I don't care about Scout and his instructions. Teresa, Natalie whispers, startling after me. I've forgotten all about Natalie, but there she is swaying back and forth on her 2 feet as if she's rocking on a horse. So Piper doesn't care about kissing Moose in front of Natalie. She thinks Natalie is like not there, but she's there. And that's obviously why she gets Moose in trouble. She likes him. She likes him a lot. And he likes her a lot. And then I see Teresa and Jimmy running up the hill towards us. I can feel the deep flush of blood in my face. I don't think they saw. Still, I can't believe it's Teresa again. That girl has a knack for being where she's not supposed to be. Moose, we need you. Moose, we need you, Piper mimics. She glares at me, turns and walks back into her house, the door closing hard after her. Moose kiss, Moose kiss. Moose is kissing, Natalie mutters. My face gets hot when I've stuck my head in the oven. Just tell him, Jimmy, says Teresa when they get up. Shut up, Teresa. Tell me what? I messed up. I threw it okay, I did, but threw what? The bar spreader. Janet Trixel has it. It's Darby Trixel's daughter. She's using it in her carousel. All the painted ponies are tied to it, and she has a hot pad on the top for a tent cover. How did she get it? It must have washed up on the beach, and she must have collected it in her beach bag. She took it home and used it for her carousel. She doesn't know what it is? But Darby knows what it is. We are in so much trouble, I say. She has it decorated like a barber pole, says Jimmy. It's right in front of his nose, and he hasn't noticed it yet? Hiding in plain sight. That's the best way to hide something. That's what my dad says. Come on, we got to get it out of here. Darn straight we do. Natalie, let's go. Chapter 25. The bad guys are locked up. Saturday, September 7th, that same day, and the next day, Sunday. Natalie shuffles off faster as usual. Just watching her come down the switchback, doing her best to keep up, fills me with gratitude. She's trying in her own weird way. She really is. I wonder what she'll make of the kiss. Of course, the one moment I wish she hadn't been lost in her own world. She wasn't. I wish she had been lost in her own world, but she wasn't. Okay. But it wasn't like she stood there or stared or anything. Piper didn't even mention her. And she would have if Natalie had been staring. All this rushing through my mind as we head for the Trixels. It's not we have arrived pell-mell at the door of the largest apartment in the 64 building. We need a reason to be there. You're visiting Janet, I tell Teresa. Me? Why me? Come on, Teresa, says Jimmy. Be nice to her for 5 minutes. We got to get that bar spreader back. How am I supposed to do this? She's not going to just hand it to me, you know. No answer. Teresa looks at me, her lips pressed together. You can't take Natalie inside. Why not? Because They're not home anyway, says Jimmy. Shall we go in? We can't just take it. Wouldn't that be stealing? It's locked anyway. Doors are never locked on Alcatraz. Our parents say it's safer here in San Francisco because all the bad guys are locked up. We're used to running in and out of each other's houses. Of course we don't run in and out of Darby Trixel's house, though. So we never notice he locks his doors. Or maybe it's just locked because they're gone for the day. What do we do now? Well, we wait for them to get home. She found it on the beach, though. Why is it our fault? No one has to know how it got there. Yeah, but it's dangerous. If Seven Fingers were to get his hands on it. Go ahead and say it. It's because I throw badly. This would have never happened if Scout had thrown it. Scout would have wanted to keep it as a souvenir, or he would have traded it, I tell him. That's not what you really think. Am I mad about this, Jimmy? Do I look mad? You are, I can tell. What do you want me to say here? Just tell me so I know. Why don't you just tell the truth for a change, Moose? What are you talking about? I always tell the truth. No, you don't. You tell me what you think I want to hear, same as you tell everyone else. I'm not mad, okay, Jimmy? You are. You're mad because I messed up and you're embarrassed I can't play ball. Look, I'm not embarrassed, but yes, I do wish you liked baseball. What's the matter with that? I thought you were different, Moose. You're just like everyone else. He walks back to his apartment. Teresa's silent. Jimmy doesn't get any mad at anyone but me. Not ever. All throughout the evening, I check on the Trixels, but they don't come home. By nightfall, I know I'll have to wait until tomorrow. I can't think of a reason to pretend I need to see them this late at night. Not one that would make Trixel suspicious anyway. First thing in the morning, I'll deal with it. I'll talk to Janet. Tell her Jimmy's going to make her a much better carousel. She wants to make hers, and he wants to take hers and use it as a model. Then we get it to the Madamans, we'll switch out the bar spreader and get rid of it for good. In the morning when I get up, the trim on the 64 building is being painted. The extra dock equipment is being hauled out of sight. The steps are swept, windows washed, the roof of the dock tower is scrubbed, the bird stuff removed. The boat has a new coat of paint. The brass fixture shines bright as Natalie's favorite buttons. I find B at the canteen stacking cans of tomato sauce in a perfect pyramid. Where's Janet? Oh, we took her down to Monterey to visit her cousins. They have a horse. B tells me as if this explains everything. But that's all I got out of her. B is in no mood to chat. She was gone yesterday and the deliveries have backed up. She needs to get the new groceries out, she tells me, plus there's party preparation and hairstyling to do. It seems suddenly as if the visit of Hoover and Ness have commandeered all the adults' attention. In the afternoon on the way back from getting their hair done at B. Trixel's, Piper and Annie knock at my door. We need to talk, Annie says. Her hair looks odd, as if it had been curled and pinned into a position against its wishes. Even in her baseball pants, Annie does not look comfortable. Piper's hair is styled the same way, but on her, it looks glamorous. We go back into my room and close the door. It feels awkward and small in here, and the goop B. Trixel put on their hair. Annie sits on a crate, Piper sits on my bed. I'm going to the party, Piper says. Of course you're going. You're performing, I say. Yeah, but I'm supposed to leave. But I'm not going to. I want to see Scarface. Piper seems more like her usual self today. That's good, I says, but it's also bad. And you're going to stay with me. Piper points at me. No, I'm not. You owe me, and you know why. Her finger takes aim at me. Why? Annie wants to know. I can't stay with her. You. I have to watch Natalie. Already taken care of. Mrs. Capone is going to do it. My parents won't agree to that. They already have. My dad asked them. They can't turn my dad down. Wait a minute. You told your dad you want to meet Scarface and he agreed? No, stupid. I told him I wanted to see you to see our performance. What's that has to do with Scarface? Nothing so far as he knows. We'll hide and then we'll watch. Capone is supposed to be the waiter. He'll definitely put on a show. That's what Buddy said. I'm not getting in trouble. My dad's on probation. We'd be kicked off the island if I were caught. Then our deal is off. You're heartless. You know that, Piper? What deal? Says Annie. None of your business, Piper snaps. Look, if I had been a boy, my dad would have let me sit at the table. You can bet that. What's that got to do with anything? Don't act like you're stupid. Look, you might as well give up. I got your dad on probation. I can get him fired, too. Annie's mouth drops open. Guess Annie knows now, I tell Piper. Yeah, so what do you say? Piper turns to her. You have to do what she wants. You don't have a choice, Moose. Annie answers in a gentle voice. Piper smiles triumphantly. Do you hear that, Moose? Even Annie agrees with me. All right. We'll give it a rest there. Al Capone is the waiter is the next chapter. Piper and Moose acting almost like teenagers. Kissing twice in this book. Wow. Kind of impulsive. Kind of teenage. And Piper is something else, isn't she? All right. We'll unfold more tomorrow. We're on page 174 of a 254-page book. So we should be able to nail it in 4 days. 4 days. It gets pretty exciting. Lots more action. Not just Al Capone being a waiter. So tomorrow's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We should finish it. We'll finish it before Friday. For New Year's Eve. No, New Year's Eve is Thursday. We'll give it a try. Okay.